All right, I want to welcome everybody to our web series here at ThrottleNet. I'm glad everybody's getting online here. We're going to go ahead and get started. Today, we're going to be talking about some cybersecurity insurance. And my name is George Rosenthal. I'm one of the owners of ThrottleNet after 25 years. And with me today is John Skeef, our virtual Chief Information Officer, one of the.
Hello.
It's good to see you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it on our web series. This is a topic that is not the most exciting, but is probably one of the most important.
Absolutely.
So
got to be one of the most important.
One of the most important things. And I know everybody out there is like, oh, it's insurance, blah, blah, blah. This is extremely important to the life of your business.
Right.
So without any further ado, let's jump right into it, though, because I know we're going to be we want to make sure we're aware of everybody's time. If you do have any questions, by the way, you can add them in the chat. We'd be happy to answer any questions at the very end as we go along. So John, thanks again. Let's go ahead and get started with our first question. So why do we need coverage? I mean, obviously we get life insurance and car insurance and homeowners insurance and disability, all these different types of insurance. But why do we need cybersecurity insurance for our business?
Right. So that cybersecurity insurance is that stopgap. So if you have an incident, not if, when you have an incident.
Yes.
When you have an incident,
yes.
You're going to need someone to come in and help you pick up the pieces.
Yeah.
And so if you're expecting to be able to do that all on your own or pay out of pocket on your own, it's just going to be that much more detrimental to your business.
Absolutely. And especially in a time of crisis.
Oh, absolutely.
Because when you get that red screen of death that says every one of your files is locked up, you can't access anything, your payroll, invoicing, anything. Your whole company is pretty much locked up.
Gone.
And you have a limited time. These guys don't give you a year to fix this. They'll sometimes give you 48 to 72 hours
right
to pay them.
And it's a big sum.
It's
a lot of times it's a big sum.
Yes.
And that's just to get your stuff back. That doesn't mean that they're gone. So, a big sum of ransom, well, who's to say that they're not going to hit you up again?
Exactly. Oh, exactly. So one of the things that I want to go over with you is some of the things that are covered. So like legal expenses. These are things that most people don't think of.
Right. So it's not only first party, which is you as the business.
Yes.
It's third party. So anybody that you've dealt with, any of your customers, it doesn't have to be necessarily the public at large, but if you deal with another business,
yes, it's
going to help protect you from them suing you or needing, more money to help them out as well.
Yeah. So it's a lot more than just paying a ransom.
Absolutely.
The ransom's just to get the bad guys off your back and unlock your files.
Correct.
Now you've got to deal with all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Which could be a huge fallout.
Right. So even with a ransom, say you have to get the ransom payment, but if you want to rebuild everything because of a ransomware, the time, the money, all the hardware, the technical expertise,
absolutely,
get everything set back up, it starts adding up real quick.
Your reputation.
Oh, the reputation.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Your brand is now tarnished.
Yeah.
As not only being hacked and being locked up, but now all of the data that you've had for your clients, whether it be any type of medical information, whether it be credit card data, even just basic address and name is now at risk out there, and you have to answer to those people.
Yeah, it's trust.
Yes.
If your reputation is built on trust and that trust is gone, then consider your business could be gone.
Correct. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So one of the things that everybody's really worried about, obviously, when you get insurance, is keeping those premiums low. Obviously, you hope you never have to use it.
Correct.
Okay, but on a monthly basis, on an annual basis, you got to keep the premiums down.
Right.
So what are the insurance companies looking for to keep those premiums down, or even first off, even qualify to get the insurance?
Sure. It's what's called a risk profile. So what you're doing as a business, what stances you take for security, all of those things add up and build out your profile. Even what industry you're in, how many employees you have, how many people you do business with, how much money that you generate every year or every month. All of that goes into this big calculation for the insurance company to say, well, if you have an incident or when you have an incident, it's going to cost us as the insurance provider this much. So that's going to determine your premium per month. Yeah, it's big, that risk profile.
Absolutely. Oh, it's absolutely huge. I mean, the other thing is I guess all of the different pieces of protecting your business have to be put in place.
Absolutely.
So you have a large checklist that they're going to send you.
Not only a large checklist, but it's an ever-changing checklist.
Oh,
As technology is continually, evolving, there's going to be something new that comes up next year that we're not even looking for this year.
Right.
But yeah, some of the biggest things that are more required now than they were just 5 years ago, MFA, backups,
Yeah.
EDR, MDR, all of those things are a non-negotiable for a cybersecurity insurance provider. They
Absolutely.
don't want to deal with you. If you don't have any of those boxes checked, just turn around and walk out.
And so, like, for example, the MFA, that's multi-factor authentication.
Sure.
This is the code you get sent when you go to log in. It says we're sending you a 6-digit code to your phone, or you have a little key fob that gives you different numbers that change. That's been around for a while, but that should be a basic thing in your business now.
100%. Yeah. And not just your MFA for your phone or your bank account
Yeah.
or your email, but all of the other applications that you use. Because,
Right.
it's one thing to think, well, my email's protected. Well, what about your business CRM and ERP and where all your files are? Like that all has to be protected.
Yeah, and so, and they're also, just to make sure everybody understands, they're not just looking for the basic fundamentals. Insurance companies are looking to make sure you have full cybersecurity protections to even qualify to get insurance.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, from the insurance, provider perspective, they don't want to pay out. So they want to make sure that you're in a good stance right out the gate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So as far as that goes, also, I want to cover a couple things here. Let's see, we got basically how ThrottleNet is helping you avoid using it. So let's get into a little bit about when you're with ThrottleNet, how are we making sure that you never have to use that because you don't want to use it?
Sure.
It's a terrible, terrible thing to have to go through. But how are we helping clients make sure that they don't have to go through that?
Yeah, we take a lot of steps. I think, first of all, as a company and as a whole, our cybersecurity department is constantly looking at different tools, different threats, what we need to put in place to have everyone protected. So, and by doing so, we're taking that proactive approach. We're not waiting for the bad guys to come and hit us and then fixing it later. We're going out and saying, hey, this is an issue. Let's fix that now before something could happen.
That's right.
That's huge. And the tools are always changing because the threats are always changing.
And that is that's a very good point. That's something everybody needs to pay attention to. And again, our whole goal of these webinars is to get people to ask questions, whether it's your internal IT department or whether it's the vendor you're using, but make sure that they're always changing and upgrading the tools.
Oh yeah. And
you can't just put one in place and be like, all right, we're done.
Review. I mean,
Yes.
if you've got one account that sits out there and it's an admin account and it's never reviewed or caught, that account could be compromised and you would never know because you're never going back. So
Right.
just one instance of constantly review. And that's one thing that I really pride that we do. We have an alignment, we have a standard, and we say to be the best protected, we need to be doing this.
Yes.
And we go through every client and we go through the checklist and we say,
Great.
here's where we're missing. Here's what we need to do to get there. And
Absolutely.
that's huge. I think that the knowing that we're doing that
Yes.
helps.
Yes, it's not the set it and forget it mentality at all in what we're dealing with.
Right.
It is a total war out there.
Absolutely.
And so along with that, one of the things that we provide is the $500,000 protection program.
Correct.
So what is that? How is that helping folks that already have cyber insurance? How does that help them if there is an attack?
Yeah. So one of the things with insurance is it's going to cover certain things that happen
Yes.
or could happen
Yes.
when they happen, and it has an amount that's covered. So once you bump up to that level, this is a supplemental program that comes in and says, hey, anything above and beyond that, we're going to come in, step in with this supplemental program. And we're going to help cover those. I got to rebuild my entire IT infrastructure costs. So it's just that extra peace of mind that we can help provide.
And what's wild too is, a lot of IT vendors out there don't offer this
Right.
at all because they can't, because an insurance carrier will not underwrite them because there are holes in their cybersecurity protections that don't allow them to do this. So and you hit a really good point. I want to make sure everybody understands that if you have cybersecurity insurance for, let's say, 200,000, and you pay the ransom of 50 grand, and then you got to pay attorneys, and you got to pay a PR firm to help, make sure your brand isn't ruined. You're going to have costs of downtime, all those things. So once that adds up to the 200,000, then this is going to kick in. and help you take care of the rest of it.
Absolutely.
And that's something that I don't think a lot of people out there understand, that you need that. And a lot of vendors out there are not able to even provide it because they don't have the right measures in place to even be underwritten.
That's what I was going to add on.
Yeah.
The requirements that cybersecurity has are what we're doing. So
Yes, yeah.
they're comfortable knowing that, hey, we'll back you guys up because we know you're doing it the best way that you can.
Yep.
And so that really helps.
Yep, I totally agree. Yeah, and so this is a great topic. This next question, I have a true fondness for this one, and it is when people say, "Well, I have cybersecurity insurance, so why do I need cybersecurity protection from an IT provider or my internal IT staff? So I have insurance, right?
Yeah.
That's going to cover me, isn't it?"
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you can relate it into so many other aspects of your life.
Yes.
So like homeowners insurance, you don't leave your front door open and unlocked
Right.
for anyone to walk in and take whatever they want. Just say, well, I've got insurance. I'll just make a claim. That doesn't help the fact that somebody just walked in your house and took your stuff.
Right.
So
Right.
the end goal, of course, should be, I never want to have to use this,
Yes.
but I want it to be there in case I do.
Exactly.
And just because you have it, doesn't mean that the insurance won't deny a claim if something happens.
Right.
Because one of the big things is they want to know that you're doing everything you can also,
Yes.
on top of having the insurance.
Yes.
They don't want to pay if they don't have to.
Right. I mean, in life, there's a lot of different emergencies that happen. Sometimes it's a medical emergency, sometimes it's a family problem. But when you get a cyber attack on your business, this is something you do not ever want to go through. You won't sleep at night. You don't know how your business is going to recover. And in some cases, many cases, the business never recovers and you go out of business. And it's because you didn't have the protections in place, not just the insurance. The insurance is one thing that after the ship has sunk to help you get back upright. So the concept of I have insurance, so therefore I don't need protections, just completely blows my mind.
Absolutely.
And maybe that's a show me state mentality kind of thing. Hopefully we'll get out of that someday.
Well, I mean, we protect ourselves in so many other ways. We have backups for programs. We have redundant power for
Right.
electrical needs, but to not have something like an insurance policy to kick in, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
It's-
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So one thing, this comes up all the time is, will the government ever force you to have cybersecurity insurance? Do you think that will ever happen?
I personally think it will happen at some point.
Yeah.
So everything in business today is cyber focused. I mean, you don't typically run a business just on paper anymore.
Right.
There's
Right.
got to be something technologically involved.
Yes.
And so I think as things go on, the government will have to step in and say, yes, you will be required.
Yeah.
As of right now, there is no requirement. There are some compliance things based on your industry, but regulation wise, just because they say you don't need it or don't have to have it, doesn't
Right.
mean you don't need it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like living in Florida without hurricane insurance.
Right.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make sense.
And honestly, when your business does collapse, you're harming the lives of all your team members, your employees. And so that's something that needs to be taken aware of. So I agree with you. I think that someday the government's going to say, look, if you're starting a business and you have over a certain amount of revenue or employees, you're going to have to get cyber coverage.
Absolutely.
For sure. So that's something we definitely want to pay attention to.
And maybe they'll start something like that or be industry specific.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they want to protect
Yes,
the
that's a very good
industries,
point.
like, power supply and telecoms and all of these that are at the heart of keeping our country going.
Yes.
They want those things those industries to be.
Yeah, you hit a very good point. I mean, medical. I mean, my
Medical.
gosh, they have every
Yes.
piece of data about you.
Yeah.
From your address, social security number, every medical history, you name it. If you don't have the ability to protect yourself or even recover from that, I can't even imagine.
No.
Yeah. So with all that being talked about, as far as why you need it, what it does, all these different things, where can I even start to look for it? Because it's not something where, you see TV commercials like Progressive or State Farm or anything like that. And you just go, oh, I'm just going to go get cybersecurity coverage. So
Right.
where do I even begin to look?
Yeah, great point. So whoever your current insurance provider is,
Okay.
reach out to them first. Start the conversation there because a lot of insurance companies are going to offer some kind of cybersecurity plan, and it'd be great to already have that relationship with your provider.
Yeah.
Now, if your provider doesn't have it, or what would always be a good instance is to get another opinion, to get a second or third option.
Absolutely.
Use a broker, because not every policy is going to be the same. The coverages aren't going to be the same. Don't base it all just on this one cost me X and this one cost me twice X. Well,
Yeah,
maybe you're getting a lot better value.
That's
so the
true.
covers more.
That's very true. Yeah, you're right. Just because it costs a little bit less doesn't mean you're getting the same coverages.
Correct.
And then you may get attacked and then all of a sudden realize, oh, wow, I thought I was going to get all this money.
The wrong time to find out that I don't have
Exactly right.
coverage. Yeah.
Well, that's the worst. Yeah, absolutely. The worst time to find out is when that's going to happen. So one thing that's very important to understand here, actually, one second here, we're going to go over here. So one thing I definitely wanted to cover was when you go to apply for the policy, you're going to get hit with this isn't like going out to just get car insurance.
Right.
And they want to know the make and model of the car and that's it. This is a massive, massive application. And it's very detailed in how they're asking these questions. And it's technical. So what would be your advice, I guess, for just the average person out there who's focused on their business, not IT, to go out and say, all right, well, how am I going to fill this thing out?
Right.
It's because it's extremely long. Some of them are 200 questions.
I was going to say multiple pages,
Yes.
multiple questions worded very specifically so that the insurance company might be able to deny a claim in the future.
Point. Yes.
So definitely the utilization of someone like myself here at a BCIO, we're here to answer those types of questions. We're here to walk you through how to answer those properly, how to even find out what this question means or what product I use that satisfies that requirement.
Yeah.
So that's what we're here for as your partner to help you along that way. Because there's a lot of questions,
Yes.
a lot of very technical questions as well.
And it's not, maybe they're intentionally trying to trick you, maybe they're not, but
Maybe
you are
they're not,
100% correct that if you don't answer those questions the right way, with specifically how you're handling multi-form factor authentication, how you're handling offsite data backups, how you're doing, do you have a business a continuity and disaster recovery plan in place?
Are you testing your backups?
Are you testing? Oh yeah, all these little intricacies they can do the gotcha on.
Right.
And when you get the red screen of death, now you're in big trouble because they may say, well, you had coverage. Thanks for paying your premium for 5 years, but we're not going to get a claim covered on that.
So, sorry, you didn't actually have MFA in place and you said you did.
Right.
And that's how someone got in and took over everything.
Yeah, because they'll do a full investigation on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not just like, hey, a storm hit my house and ripped my roof off, and now all of a sudden they go, yeah, your roof's off. Okay, here's a check.
Right.
They do a forensic investigation as to how they got in the network, what they were doing. It's a very, very thorough process.
Absolutely.
They just don't pay out.
No.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
So we've reached the end of our slides, so to speak. If there's any questions out there, we'd love to hear them. But as far as insurance goes, one of the things I definitely think is so important is that making sure you at least apply for it. If you can't get coverage, then you come to your IT department, make sure you go to an IT vendor that knows what they're doing to ensure that you're at least trying. But you got to try. And those, I know it can be a very boring thing. You're like, oh my gosh, insurance. But it is so crucial. And you've seen this with prospects that are not clients of ThrottleNet yet that get hit.
Right.
And it is a full-on crisis mode when that happens. You're out of business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To imagine your entire company is shut down, waiting for everything to be rebuilt, which can take not days.
Yeah, not days.
Not weeks.
That's a great
It
point.
could be months to
Wow.
basically rebuild everything, and to still pay your employees or I mean, it's unimaginable.
It is.
What someone can have to go through.
And are they, the old rumor is, oh, well, they're not going to come after me. I'm just a small business owner. We got 20 employees. Why would they target me? And that's so not the case.
Right. It's not that they only want to go after the big guys. Well, the big guys have the security in place. They go after the guys that don't have the security in place because they're the easy targets.
Right.
And the more that there are, the more that they can make.
That's right.
Right. So
That's right.
they don't really, there's not a feel component to it. They don't care that you're a small business and this is going to put you out.
Right. And they may not ask for 50,000 if you're that big. They may ask for 13, 15 grand. That's still a big hit. But the point is, not are you just getting the hit of the small money, even if that's a small amount for your particular business, but your whole system's down.
Right.
So what are you losing per hour, per day, per week that you're saying in just revenue loss?
Right.
Yeah, and then afterwards you have to explain to your clients, well, by the way, your data's out on the dark web for sale. Sorry.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
and hope that your clients weren't also impacted because
Right.
your email got compromised and sent them an email which compromised,
Yes.
on down the
I
line.
don't know. Yeah,
And,
exactly. Exactly. Well, I'm not sure if we have any questions at all.
So there's a few things that people might want answers to.
Okay.
One of them being, you guys mentioned legal fees earlier. What
Yes.
type of legal fees might people should be expecting?
That's a great question. For those of you who couldn't hear, what type of legal fees should they be expecting when you get hit? So you think, okay, we got hit, we got our data back, now we need lawyers.
Right. So
Why?
typically that's going to be with that third party side.
Okay.
So you're not going to be suing yourself, I
Right,
hope,
right.
but someone might be wanting to sue you. And so you need to have those legal fees in place to say, well, yes, we had a breach, but now we need to do the damage control. And if someone wants to come after you, that's where the legal.
Yeah,
legal
you
fees
can
becomes-
you can have several clients all at once with lawsuits coming your way.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow. Yeah, that is that's a pretty scary notion.
Right.
Two other quick questions from audience members. Johnny was asking, what is a typical $1 million policy cost for a small business?
That's a great question. So they can range
Sure.
because it's going to depend on what's going on.
Depends on what's going on, depends on what security measures you already have in place, what industry you have,
Yep.
what number of employees.
Yep.
So, I mean, there are estimates out there, but really without calculating all of those factors, it's really hard to say like a specific number for what your premium
Yeah.
is or should be. But it really should be something your business is comfortable with paying because at
Yes.
the end of the day, we're trying to pay this little premium instead of paying this big $1 million.
Yeah, let's say it's seven. We'll just round up. Let's say it's 10 grand a year.
Sure.
For the whole year. That should be the most important expense you have.
Right.
Because without it, there is nothing left.
Correct.
If one person clicks a link on a text message that's on Wi-Fi on a phone and infiltrates your network or clicks an email, it's all over.
Right.
So whether that costs $500 or $10,000, that should be the most important expense you have.
100%.
100%. I know it should be the most important insurance you ever buy.
Correct.
I mean, life insurance, of course, car, home, but the most important insurance should be because you spent all this time and effort building a company. You started a company from the ground up, and here you are. You've done all this work, and one click away, and it's all over.
Right.
All over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that it's even if
Maybe
you're
not a
paying
click,
10 grand a
maybe it's
year.
just an exposed firewall port.
Yes.
All these things
One
that-
exposed firewall port. It's over.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be necessarily here. It could be
Yes.
someone else.
And what's wild is, as the business owner, you're trusting that IT person, either in your office or the IT department you've hired as a vendor, you're trusting everything in your livelihood to those people.
Right.
Everything. Because if they don't do their job right, everything you've worked for 10, 15, 20 years is gone.
Absolutely.
It just completely blows my mind.
And that's why it's important to have the tools in place to be proactive.
Yes.
To have a team that knows what they're doing,
Yes.
that when something does look off or something comes up as here's a vulnerability, you can act quickly.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a great question, though. Thank you so much
Great
for that question.
We had two other questions come in.
Yes.
Audience member Michael is asking, you mentioned MFA.
Yes.
What other tactics should we be implementing to help with cyber insurance?
That's
I'll pull up the slide that we.
That's a great question. So the question was, for those of you who couldn't hear, is along with things like multi-factor authentication, what are cybersecurity measures that need to be in place? And of course, that list is very long. We're not going to go through the whole thing right now, but what are the top ones that come to mind?
Yeah, so it's kind of along the idea of IT resiliency. So you want to have good backups. You want to have good endpoint detection. So if something does get on your machine, it's noticed right away. There's additional discounts for insurance the more that you train your employees, because your employees are the last line of defense, right?
Yes.
So the better that you can prepare them by training them, by phishing
Great point.
them, phishing your own employees, and then showing them, here are the most recent attacks and threats that are out there.
Yes.
Here's what to look out for. That email that says it's from George to go buy me 20 gift cards from the gas station.
Right.
It's not really from George.
No.
Don't go do that.
Don't go
Right.
do that. Yeah. No, that's all. That makes a lot of sense. And the training is such a key thing. I mean, companies will train for all types of different things, not just your job duties and so forth, but HR related issues, but they won't train on how to properly handle the IT world.
Right.
And they'll
Yeah.
just, people will just click on anything or send an email to anybody, or it's, yeah, the training is key.
Very much
Very
so.
key. And
Yeah.
I actually got busted once, full disclosure.
Oh, no.
I did, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was at Christmas time.
Click the link.
I clicked the wrong
Oh,
link.
no.
Yeah, I did. It was a couple years ago. I got
Yeah.
busted, but yeah, it's important. Even though it's something you do every day, you got to have the training in place.
And well, and to that point, those types of emails, those types of targeted attacks are only going to get better.
Yes,
As AI comes out, we are going to get better at finding them, but the bad guys are going to get better about making them seem so believable and realistic
it's such a great point.
that, as an IT professional, I'll even have some that like, wow,
It's spooky.
I almost caught myself
Yes,
almost clicking on this. Yeah.
And one now that you mentioned that, along with the training, one thing that we do here at ThrottleNet is we will actually come out to your business and do a full-on cybersecurity awareness training for you and your entire team. We'll bring out lunch, no charge and no obligation, of course. Our job here is to make sure we're teaching as many people about the threats that are out there.
That's not just for our clients.
And that, exactly, not
Right.
even just for,
Yeah.
not anybody out there that needs some cybersecurity awareness training. We will come out to your business, bring lunch, about an hour worth of training. And it's extremely important because this is a war between the good and the bad.
Right.
And we need to get the word out as much as possible.
And that's the last line of defense.
It is.
I mean,
Yes.
they're the folks that are interacting with
Yeah,
all of your data, files, email, and if they're good and knowledgeable and protected,
that's right.
then you can rest assured that your business is better protected.
Yes, they're the last line of defense, but they're also the weakest link.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Very last question as of right now that came in. You mentioned a BCIO can help me. What else does a BCIO provide for your partners?
That's a great question. So this is right up your alley, considering you're a BCIO here.
Yeah.
So what, and to reiterate that for those who couldn't hear, is what does a BCIO do and provide on a regular basis?
Yeah. So as a VCIO, we're quarterly reviewing everything that your business is doing. So all of your applications, we're looking at that, again, that alignment that we say, here's the best practices that we think are going to keep you the most secure.
Yeah.
Where are we lacking? Let's set that out on a roadmap. Let's make sure that we are protecting ourselves at every turn. Let's discover if we're not covering something. What about renewals? What about vendors? What about hardware? A new application that comes out. Copilot is huge. Right
That's huge.
now. Well, we can help tell you about Copilot.
Great.
Yeah. So it's building that strategy, that roadmap that, it's so much for one person to possibly know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Why not lean on somebody who does this all day? And I can, I or the other 5 VCIOs, we have 6 available that can help you with all those types of IT questions.
Absolutely. I mean, I hate to say it's a built-in coach, but not only are you guiding the company through all of the cybersecurity protections, making sure their IT is right, but you're also saying, what's your plans for growth? Give me the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and we're going to help roadmap out how the IT can help you accomplish those goals.
Right.
And along with keeping you protected, but how we can actually use AI, use different tools to help grow your business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite are just simple questions on, hey, I'd like to try and look at this program. Well, having experience, I might say, well, for you, that might not be the best program.
Right.
Right. So here's one that is going to do 10 times more, and maybe it's the same price or maybe it's half the cost. So just having that experience and knowledge is I think the biggest thing that sets us apart,
Absolutely.
because it's such a value.
Yes.
And I mean,
Yeah.
before I came to ThrottleNet, that's what I was always looking for, is what extra value can I get?
That's right.
This is great.
And if you don't have a BCIO, a virtual chief information officer, make sure that you ask if you can get one with your current vendors. Everyone here at ThrottleNet, as a client of ThrottleNet, will have a BCIO that meets with you every 3 months, and that is crucial to keeping up with everything from your growth to security.
Absolutely.
So, well, I really appreciate everybody. I appreciate your time. Thank you, John, so much for
Wow, that was
joining us.
fast.
Yeah, wasn't it fast?
Quick and over, yeah.
Well, we appreciate everybody, all the questions out there, and we definitely look forward to seeing you next time on our webinar series here at ThrottleNet.